What's going on? What's going on? IntellectualRadio.com and iHeartRadio family. Fans talking sports. I am your host, EJ. I also have my co-host, Mikhail. What's up? What's up? Also, my other co-host, my buddy, Bill. What's going on, Bill?
What's going on?
Miami Dolphins fan right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it feels good. IntellectualRadio.com. We had some, I know I had some personal, personal tragedy, and there's some other. But we are back. We are back. You can check us out every first Saturday of the month and every last Saturday of the month. Our show will be from 10:45 to 11:45, 10:45 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. Central Time. So it feels good to be back at home at IntellectualRadio.com, which, by the way, if you are not up on IntellectualRadio.com, please tune in to IntellectualRadio.com. It has a lot of variety of shows, different topics, but one thing I can say, you get very intellectual talk, entertaining talk. Also, like I said, various topics. So if you're into sports, you're into religion, you're into politics, you're into entertainment. There's all kind of social conscious shows, musical shows that dedicated to music and highlighting a lot of underground artists and local artists. You can tune into IntellectualRadio.com and you can find. You can pretty much find anything. It's kind of like the one-stop for radio, for talk radio, right? And you're allowed to be yourself. Just no profanity, okay? But you're allowed to be yourself, so great ownership. So once again, IntellectualRadio.com. This is EJ. This is Just Fans Talking Sports, where the voice of the fan matters, and it feels good to be back. So today we're going to talk mostly about what? What are we talking about today? What we're going to talk about mostly today? The NBA.
Those high contracts.
Yes. You know what I call it? Welcome to the NBA, where mediocre play get you all-star pay, baby. I'm going to say it again. Welcome to the NBA, where mediocre play gets you all-star pay. Because we got guys right now who are you got guys who Matthew Dellavedova, right? Who hardly played at all in the in the NBA Finals. And Timofey Mozgov hardly played at all. Did he even play? In the NBA Finals, and these guys
didn't need him to.
Right. They didn't need him, but these guys got money, man. What Dellavedova got 4 years? Was it 4 years? 38 million. Mozgov got 4 years with
91.8.
No, he was like it wasn't 91. It wasn't, the Lakers didn't go that crazy. It was like 65 million, I think. 4 years, 64. 4 years, 65 million. And we'll have all those numbers a little bit later on in the show. But those are two examples of where we at right now in the cap of the NBA. It's the very opposite in the NHL. In the NBA, you can make a lot of money, because pretty much, to break it down, they have the money. Teams have to spend the money on free agents. Yeah, it's going up to what's the cap?
110.
110. So it's going up next year. So this year, Derrick Rose is like, man, body, please just get through this season, because if Mike Conley Jr. I'm gonna lead the show off with this. Mike Conley Jr., who is a very good point guard. If Mike Conley Jr. was in the Eastern Conference, he probably would have made an All-Star team. But Mike Conley Jr. has not been an All-NBA player yet, right? Mike Conley Jr. has never been an All-Star.
It's also because of the other
it's because and I want to throw shade on Mike Conley Jr. because he's playing against Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook, and also another great guard, Damian Lillard, who hasn't even made the All-Star team yet.
Chris Paul.
So so you have then you have your politics. With Kobe, his last year, who didn't deserve to be All-Star, but it's Kobe, so he was going to make the All-Star team. So someone had to be bumped off. But with all that being said, Mike Conley Jr. has not made the All-Star team. All right.
You know how much this deal is for, right?
I'm about to get to that. Now listen. Mike Conley Jr. This is no knock on Mike Conley Jr. at all, because I believe that Mike Conley Jr. is a very good point guard. He's a pure point guard. He's a point guard that does what a traditional point guard is supposed to do. He's a very good player, very underrated player, a very good defensive player. However, Mikhail, could you please read the contract of Mike Conley Jr.?
It's $153 million.
5 years, $153 million, man. Listen, let's go back. 5 years, $153 million for Mike Conley Jr.'s contract. Now, the NFL player have a reason to gripe, have a reason to complain. Watch this. We talk about Mike Conley Jr. being a player who's never been to the All-Star game, right? Never been an All-NBA. Well, let's compare that to somebody in the NFL, all right? Tom Brady, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's arguably the best quarterback of all time.
Here we go.
For making $150 million. So you mean to tell me in the NBA, man, you got a guy who never made an All-Star team for 5 years, $153 million. And in the NFL, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. He's in the room. He's in that discussion, right?
He's in the discussion.
Tom Brady's in the discussion.
He's in the discussion.
He is, in my opinion. But if you have a discussion outside of those fans of Miami and New York and Buffalo who hate him, and outside of those fans,
Aaron Rodgers still plays the game.
Yeah, well, Aaron Rodgers right now is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. But of all time, my pick is still gonna be Tom Brady.
Joe Montana, Brett Favre.
Tom Brady. I'm taking Tom Brady. Okay. But he's in a discussion, right?
He's in a discussion.
If you say it's only 4 guys in that room, you only have 4 guys in that room as being the greatest quarterback of all time. Tom Brady is in that room. He's in that room.
Yeah.
He's in that secret room.
Absolutely.
So you have the greatest quarterback of all time, or a guy who's in that room only making $150 million, but then you have a guy who never made an All-Star team, man, making $153 million. $150 million.
It's the economics.
Let me count. Before you go there, let me say this.
Andrew Luck makes more than Tom Brady now.
Let me say this. Get out of here. I was reading this. I was looking up a stat. There's only been, I think, 3 or 4 players, and maybe 4 now with Conley, who's made $30 million a year in the NBA. I think Allen Iverson, or 4 or 5. Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, Michael Jordan, I believe. Who else was it? It's someone else. Maybe Kobe, I believe. So I may be missing somebody. Maybe Garnett. But I know it's definitely Jordan and Iverson and maybe Kobe. So Mike Conley Jr. joins this discussion. You talk about a guy who's not going to make the Hall of Fame. This is where we at in the NBA in the cap situation now, guys.
So you're saying I can walk on the court and get $120 million? Probably.
I mean, if you
jumper that I have,
if you can do what Matthew Dellavedova does, you can get $36 million, $38 million. I tell you that.
I don't really look at it as a bad thing, because you have players in a modern day sense. When I was growing up, you had players who made way more money than players that came before them, just because the economics of the game changes. I mean, Michael Jordan made $30 million one year, I think almost $35 million the last year. And Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, them players together probably had never made. I mean, so it's the economics of the game. It's where the game actually is now. Sports are that big. They've managed to expand their base that much, and it's a demand to see it. You got social media and all of this. So, I mean,
there's a demand to see Mike Conley Jr.?
Huh?
There's a demand to see Mike Conley Jr.?
No, but
I'm saying
the NBA, because it's sharing. Am I correct? They do profit sharing. So everybody gets a slice of that pie. So if Mike Conley Jr. is a beneficiary of where the NBA economics is right now, that's just what has to happen. Because I know nobody's talking about how much the owner's making.
That's true.
So if now do I think he's worth $153 million?
Oh no.
If that's what you have to pay him. Joakim Noah is going to get his $72 million deal for 4 years. Ain't nobody gonna sit up here and say he's worth that.
It's definitely a reality of the cap situation.
Is equivalent to $12 million a year by percentage of the cap.
Right.
Is he worth that? No, I can tell you that players ain't worth $2 million a year based on what I make for what I make. So it's determined by what the league is making.
True.
So they were able to say, you know what? If the league is gonna make this much money, these players better make this much money. Now this was gonna even make you madder. It's gonna be people next year who get more than Mike Conley Jr. That ain't supposed to get it.
And let's go there. Let's go ahead. Ridiculous. Let's go ahead and go there right now. All right. One player who got crucified this time last year at the team's opening press conference when everyone was talking about getting together and being healthy and winning the championship and being focused on winning the championship. You had Derrick Rose who was talking about keeping his body together so he can be, so he can be there and so his knees can be good to be there for his son's graduation and also about looking forward to making the money he's going to be making in free agency when his time come up. So let's go ahead and go there and talk about that player, Derrick Rose. He was traded to the New York Knicks for Robin Lopez. Was it Jared Grant and Jose Calderon? So Derrick Rose and also a 2017 pick and also what's the young guy we got from Golden State? Justin Holiday was traded to the New York Knicks. So Derrick Rose is a New York Knick along with Joakim Noah, the heart and soul of the Chicago Bulls, is no longer, so now we need a new heart and soul.
It's Jimmy Butler.
So Jimmy Butler's the best player in the heart and soul now, I guess. But so Derrick Rose, right, the heart and the soul, and the best player, I guess. So Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah, they're playing with Carmelo Anthony. There are rumors out there about Eric Gordon being interested, or the Knicks being interested in Eric Gordon. I know they offered a contract to Courtney Lee. So it'd be kind of interesting if Eric Gordon joins Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah, Carmelo Anthony. Too many injuries. I mean, I know you signed all those guys. Now let me put this out there. I'm a Derrick Rose fan. I'm a Joakim Noah fan. Just because they play for New York doesn't mean that I'm gonna hate on them all of a sudden. No. I respect those guys, especially Joakim Noah, what he did for the city of Chicago, in particular the black community. What he did was phenomenal, off the chain. So I'm always forever going to be a fan of Joakim Noah for what he did off the court and what he did on the court. He represented
a horror
story about Joakim Noah.
Yeah, I was this close to meeting him at the Tasters of Chicago. It was like his second year here. And he's signing autographs at the booth. He gets up and looks at his agent, says, "Get me the out of here." I can't say the word because it's a family show. I can't say the word on air, but he said, "Get me the F out of here." And
why, man? What was going on? Where were you? You was at Taste of Chicago?
I was at Taste Chicago.
Oh, no wonder why, man. He probably seen what time it was. Like, I seen some hats being tilted to the left and some hats tilted to the right over here. It's time to get up out of here right now.
Hey.
But I respect Joakim Noah for all the work. I mean, Joakim Noah was an athlete who understood his platform, and Joakim Noah did not just talk about stopping the violence in Chicago. Right. I mean, he put together campaigns. He put together foundations. I mean, he was meeting with guys, doing mentoring, small group mentoring. I mean, it wasn't just for publicity. It wasn't just for show. He was genuine. So definitely going to miss Joakim Noah as being a responsible member of Chicago's community, but also what he did for the Bulls. I mean, he's ranked up there, and I'm quite sure we can find the numbers of his rankings in the next coming weeks. I know he's towards the top in rebounds and games played. He's towards the top. So Joakim Noah he's a legendary player in Chicago for what he did on and off the court. With all that being said, though, the New York Knicks, I hope that they invested in the world's best surgeon, because you got guys with knee injury history, and especially with Eric Gordon, he played less than Derrick Rose. I mean, so if the Knicks can be healthy, if they can stay healthy, and I know that you got to put if capitalize the I and the F. If they can stay healthy, they're going to be, the Knicks are going to be competitive. They could compete with the Indiana Pacers and the Toronto Raptors for second place in the Eastern Conference because LeBron James.
I was going to say, you still got Cleveland and LeBron James.
He's still the man. And don't be surprised if Dwayne Wade signed there. Thoughts on that?
Or if he wants to beat him, he signs with the Knicks.
Can the Knicks beat Dwayne Wade and the Knicks?
I'm
going to
tell you what, if you have Derrick Rose averaging 16 a game, Dwayne Wade, Kristaps Porzingis, right, Carmelo Anthony,
right, and Noah getting you 13
and
rebounds,
Noah
14
playing
rebounds. Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
They will have a shot.
They will have a definite shot. No, they will have a definite shot, but you're always gonna. And I hate to say this because I'm a Derrick Rose fan, but when you talk about Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah these last few years, and then if you've been paying attention the last couple years, Carmelo Anthony's been having some knee issues. Hey, you have to get through the season first.
Team handicapped.
Wow. So he went there. Too. Right. If you get Dwayne Wade,
a wheelchair waiting for him right out of the sidelines.
So you one of these guys that hate Derrick Rose being in New York. You can't stand it, Will. That's what it sounds like.
Not Derrick Rose. He's Derrick Rose. I don't like him. I don't hate him. I mean,
you just a Bulls fan.
He go wherever he wants.
I mean, for me, man, just for me as being a kid who grew up in Chicago, you just don't like to see him go because he's from Chicago.
Right.
I mean, that's.
And I'm calling out Christopher Dean.
And it's not,
I don't want to see the Knicks win. No, I respect the Knicks. I've always respect. I don't like them. I always respect.
You might as well cheer for them. The Bulls ain't winning nothing. I mean,
right.
You can cheer all we want this year. We might win.
Well, I'm a Bulls and a Spurs fan. I like the Thunder as well because Westbrook my favorite player. So hey. So I don't have to. Now I'm not gonna be one of these guys all of a sudden. I'm burning all my Bulls jersey, burning my Bulls gear. I'm a New York Knicks fan. No, I'm not gonna be that guy. But I do respect. I respect the Knicks. I like Derrick Rose, like Joakim Noah. Man, Porzingis is for a guy who got booed crazy when he got drafted. I mean, he is the future of that team. And you got Carmelo Anthony, who's always been, since day one in the league, has been one of the league's best scorers. So you have to respect what the Knicks are doing. However, does it mean that they're going to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers? In my opinion, no. Not. You signed Dwayne Wade, and that conversation will be a little bit different, But hey, who knows? We still got to see what's going on with Mr. Dwayne Wade. Would you like to see Dwayne Wade in Chicago, Mikhail?
The way I feel about it is, first of all, I think that this is a crossroads year for Jimmy Butler and Fred Hoiberg.
Yeah.
And if you want to give them both a fair shake, you don't need to add Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo because I think that Butler he earns the way he's earned the right to be the leader of that team. I guess I don't like how he tried to impose his will on the team and he couldn't because it was hard to do it when you have a new coach. And you try to do that with somebody who was a former MVP. You had a strong personality like Joakim Noah. So I would say it would be nice to see Wade in a uniform, but I just don't see how it would work. I don't see what we would be getting out of getting him unless it's going to add credibility to the Chicago organization that we can get to, free agents like Rondo and Wade, and maybe they can lure other free agents to come because that's the reason why we haven't been able to grow. Everybody keeps talking about, building your team through the draft and all. That's not what the NBA does anymore. The NBA doesn't build teams through the draft. I mean, they get some players in the draft.
What the Golden State Warriors show did.
Oh, they did, but they sucked really bad for quite some time before that happened.
Nobody knew about Steph Curry until 2 years ago.
Yeah, so I
didn't even know who the guy was.
Yeah, so I mean, the NBA, if you can't get free agents in the NBA, you can't win the NBA Finals. I mean, Golden State, they did win one, and I can argue they wouldn't have won that one if Kyrie Irving was playing last year.
That's a valid argument.
I mean, yes, they did
open up Pandora's box,
but it's not likely. Even the Boston Celtics right now are attempting to get a free agent. Like you need to take some really good dominant free agent because basketball still is whoever has the best player on the planet more than likely is going to win the NBA Finals, and it's going to be proven. I mean, it's an anomaly when teams win that the team with just the best team on the floor. That's an anomaly. The Pistons did it one time.
Yeah.
So if it's going to add credibility to the Bulls organization, yes, we should get Dwayne Wade. But we're not winning anything with him. And I think Jimmy Butler, with the personality Jimmy Butler has, I think Jimmy Butler would not be able to exercise his quote-unquote newfound leadership power if we get Dwayne Wade or Rajon Rondo. It's not going to work.
Now let me
Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler all over again.
Yeah, it will be.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Do you guys really
Yeah.
But do you guys really believe it was Derrick Rose? Do you guys really believe that it was the Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler can't play together, don't like each other? Was it really an issue like the media hyped it up to be? Was it a media creation, or was it? Do you think it was legit? Like those two just could not stand each other, and somebody had to go. What's your guys' opinion on that?
I think it was legit. I think somebody had to go, and they went.
Was it because they didn't like each other, or because you just think that because the media?
I don't think they liked each other. I really don't. Jimmy Butler, no, I didn't know about him either until 2 years ago.
Don't be throwing shade at my guy Jimmy now. Come on, man.
Seriously, I didn't know who he was, and then he just came out of the blue.
Yeah,
and just
he worked hard, developed his game,
and scored.
Became a 2-time All-Star.
Oh boy,
He became a top 5 two-way player in the game.
But I knew who Derrick Rose was. When he came into the league, I already knew that. Jimmy just came out.
Jimmy
of nowhere.
was a grinder who made
I think Derrick Rose like that.
Okay.
I take his spotlight.
I think the problem with Derrick Rose, I don't necessarily think it was more of that they clashed with each other as far as who's going to run the team. I think it's how Jimmy Butler went about it. And I think him trying to lead the team at the time he did was hard, because you take the best coach in the NBA, who was the leader of the team, was that coach. Okay, you remove him from the equation. Now you have a new coach, which is Fred Hoiberg, and then you have Jimmy Butler, who is a new, emerging leader, and you got Joakim Noah, who was really the leader of the team, and he didn't play this year.
Yeah.
I think that what Jimmy Butler could have done is he could have, and I'm not saying Jimmy Butler didn't do this, but you sit down with Joakim Noah and you sit down with Derrick Rose, the people who have been the perennial leaders of that team, and you say, you know what, y'all have been injured. I'm trying to let's see how we can make this work. I mean, if you're going to be the leader, me and EJ was talking about this. One thing about leading is that you don't know if you're a leader until people follow you.
Right.
Like you can't just get out there and say, hey, I'm the leader of this team. I'm dropping 25 every game. We can argue that when Derrick Rose was the MVP, he was not the leader of the team. Joakim Noah was the leader of the Chicago Bulls, and he remained the leader of the Chicago Bulls even when he was injured.
Right. And
you can prove it because there was no floor leader. There was nobody leading the team. So I think the problem was, it's not that I think Jimmy Butler just found out the hard way. I'm not saying Jimmy Butler is a leader, but he found out the hard way that leaders aren't only produced because of how they play. Sometimes, leaders are people that just can lead people. Right. And I think he grew up. I hope he grew up, because I believe that he will use to be a better leader. I just think that they put Jimmy Butler also at a disadvantage, because you had a strong personality like Joakim Noah, but then you bring no personality in there like Fred Hoiberg. He's setting no boundaries. He's setting no limits. And I think if Tom Thibodeau would have been the coach of the Bulls last year, I believe he would have been able to hand the keys to Jimmy Butler, and the other two would have said, you know what? He's the best we have right now. Let's rally behind him. So I think the head coach, like a Eric Spoelstra or a Phil Jackson or a Chuck Daly, those type of coaches are able to put players in their place and also say, here, I'm going to put
old school Chuck Daly.
Because those coaches can put their stamp on
with personality.
What he didn't have was a person he didn't have John Paxson say Jimmy Butler is our guy. He didn't have a Fred Hoiberg say Jimmy Butler is our guy. It was just Jimmy Butler saying he's the guy.
True. But don't you think that Joakim or Derrick could have went to Jimmy Butler and said, hey, man,
I think it did behind closed doors.
Like
Joakim,
you're the man now.
Oh no, I don't see that.
I mean, they could have, but it's also how open was Jimmy Butler. It's not easy as a man to approach two other men and say, hey, I know y'all I know y'all been running this show the last whatever years.
Right.
I think it's my time. I don't even know.
Hey,
See,
Mike,
and that's why you need
Jordan
that
did it
coach.
to Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
Yeah, but they
He
didn't play
walked
on the
in and
same
said, "Hey,
team, right?
there's a new sheriff in town."
But they wasn't the same. See,
He was telling them that it's a new
sheriff in
sheriff
town.
in the
Oh yeah,
no,
And that's
the
what
whole
Jimmy
NBA.
Butler did. And they didn't like that.
Yeah, they didn't like
But
it.
now
They needed somebody to mediate.
and I put this on before we get back to the before we go back into the NBA and the free agents. Money just getting the free agent money just getting thrown around all over the place. Before we get back to that conversation, I want to say this: that Jimmy Butler, I think there is a little bit of a little bit of the media kind of overblowing some things up. I think some things got leaked out. Maybe some conversations behind closed doors got leaked out. But also, I have to say this: I also believe that the Chicago Bulls, the fallen. What's the best word? I cannot put this.
Falling out.
Not just the falling out, but the falling of an entire era. This era, I believe it goes on the shoulders of guard Pax, man. John Paxson and guard Foreman, and I believe that it needs to be a change in the entire philosophy of the Chicago Bulls, and maybe the ownership needs to start having some real conversations about, okay, now, Vinny Del Negro was an issue, right? It was an issue with Scott Skiles. It was an issue with Tom Thibodeau. I mean, it was an issue with, and Tom Thibodeau to me is still the best coach in the NBA. A top 3 coach in the NBA. I mean, so I think that it's a philosophy that the Chicago Bulls have that needs to change, because top free agents apparently do not want to come here, right? And then when you have a team get together, and you have a team of Noah, Rose, Gasol, Butler, you having more conversations about who team it is versus just staying healthy and winning games. So I think overall, the Chicago Bulls organization, some things needs to change. It just needs to change, man. Guard Foreman and listening to him contradict himself in these press conferences,
God Foreman
man.
is an idiot, man. He should not be a GM. And I'm with you, and I think more than ever, what people have to understand about the culture of the NBA is run by players. It's not really necessarily run by owners. That's the reason why they're giving all this money to all these. Yeah. If the NFL would never get that much money away. If somebody signed a $200 million deal in the NFL, it's only going to be $70 million that guaranteed. You get hurt this year, we taking all that money back. So I think the problem they have is players talking the NBA now. So, and I was talking to EJ about, and it sounds like it's a little minor, but dude, they didn't even have any darn loyalty to Kirk Heinrich. Like, they just traded him in the middle of the year for no apparent reason. Now we're talking about a team that had no leadership, right? It really had no stability. It had no veteran really saying this is what we should do.
Right.
And you just trade Kirk Heinrich and bring somebody in to play a couple of games. Can't say it's for cap space because we ain't doing nothing with that cap space anyway. You know what I mean? So now it's like, and the Bulls traditionally, since Jordan and Pippen, people have said that they're not a loyal organization. That's the reason why, although trading Derrick Rose was a smart move, unfortunately, people in the NBA players in the NBA are going to perceive it as they are not loyal. Like, they will look at certain moves the Bulls have made and say they're not loyal. And I'm not saying that that's a truth. I'm just saying that that's the reputation in the NBA. Like EJ said, their reputation is that it is a poorly run organization. And it is.
Now, do you think that stems back from when Phil Jackson and Jordan and all of them?
They've been saying that the Bulls are not loyal since then, because of how that championship team was broken up. Whether true or not, perception is reality. Because thinking about the teams who get top tier free agents, with the exception of wherever LeBron plays, is because it's LeBron James. But Larry Bird is getting free agents because he's Larry Bird.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Phil Jackson is starting to get free agents. You know
Indiana
why?
Team
Because he's Phil
dangerous.
Jackson. Indiana, yeah. And then you watch it. I'm going to tell you who's going to start getting them. Michael Jordan is about to start getting. Yes. He has beat his GM game up, or whatever he calls himself doing.
He's the owner, but
the owner
right. slash GM.
Right. So I'm saying that
I won't be surprised if Jordan throw a jersey on.
Put that jersey on, get out that court.
So I'm saying organizations. And EJ just said this yesterday when Jerry Krause said organizations win championships. You know what? It's proven to be true that the reputation of organizations right now are winning championships. I mean, because now, you do have players recruiting and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, people won't come to Chicago because of the organization.
True. I agree with that 100%.
This is not coming.
I got into it with some guys on our page about that.
Make sure to check out Just Fans Talk Sports on Facebook.
Check out Just Fans Talk Sports. But I went back to the whole Jordan and Pippen, and these guys just tore me apart because they said it was personal between Phil Jackson and Jerry Krause. But you take the coach away. Do you really think Michael Jordan and Pippen want to play for anybody else? No. I mean,
like who?
Right, like who? Who are you going to replace Phil Jackson with? These guys are going to listen to nobody.
It's just the reputation of the Chicago Bulls front office is bad. And this may sound far-fetched, but I believe that because they're not going to the Bulls.
That prediction.
I'm gonna
one, but I'm
gonna make a bold. I'm gonna say this because the Bulls need the Chicago Bulls need a shock.
They need credibility.
They need some credibility. They need a shock. Right here, you go. Gar Forman, in my opinion, I believe that Gar Forman right now is on the hook. He is going to be the fall guy. So. If they know they're not making the playoffs, but if they fail to make the playoffs, watch this. Fired. Gar Forman, because John Paxson is safe. Jerry, if you follow Jerry Rines throughout the years, he's very loyal. He's loyal to Kenny Williams, and he's too loyal. Yes, you're right, and he's loyal to John Paxson. This is what's going to happen, people. Watch this. Gar Forman will be fired, right? If this thing just turns real ugly, he will be fired. And Scottie Pippen will be the GM of the Chicago Bulls or promoted to some type of high position to gain some credibility and to show NBA players that someone that you respect is has a lot of say-so in his organization because Scottie Pippen can bring players here. Scottie Pippen can put fans in those seats based on the words that he says because Scottie Pippen has been very open about some things that need to change in the Chicago Bulls organization. And I believe if you want to stir the pot up, if you want to change the face of organization, Scottie Pippen needs to be in the place of Gar Forman. Move John Paxson.
Not Randy Brown, not Pete Mike.
No, man, Scottie Pippen. Promote Randy Brown. Promote, but you know what? Promote Pete Myers. Promote Randy Brown, Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen. Let those guys have a lot of say-so because they can bring credibility back to this once great organization. Yes,
wouldn't that be a slap? That would be a slap to Michael Jordan's face if they do that for Scottie Pippen. Then they didn't do that for him.
Slap him.
Slap him?
Well, this is what we got to understand.
And Drummer Man Johnson, I respect what you're saying.
When Michael Jordan was asking for stuff from the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan was asking for stuff the year after he was playing. That's too soon. The only player that ever managed to get away with that is Jason Kidd. But it was with another organization. No, it was with New Jersey.
Well, look, I'm going to say this. We have a caller. Scottie Pippen would be great. It'd be great.
I agree with that, but it's just a slap to Michael Jordan.
On Facebook Live, the Drummer Man Johnson says, I agree. He pretty much, he said, I agree that Gar Forman will be fired. He said, Pip may not be a GM, but I agree. He needs to be bumped up.
He's in the back.
Man, Drummer Man Johnson threw a name out there. He said Magic Johnson. Hey, I don't know how realistic that is, but you know what? Hey, I tell you what, I take Magic Johnson. We have a caller. Introduce yourself, caller. Let us know who you are and where you're calling from.
My name is Latrell Sprewell, who is the best player to ever play basketball.
Oh, wow. We have Mr. Latrell Sprewell, was the best player ever in basketball. Man, stop it.
Let me explain something to you all. You know, first off, I listen to your show faithfully. And you know, one thing that I like to do, I like to talk facts, all right?
Talk facts.
The fact of the matter is this about the Chicago Bulls. Why are we talking about all the things that the Bulls don't do and what they need to do? First off, Pippen's not going to become GM, all right, because Pippen's not going to be used in that position to bring players there when he never got paid by the Bulls in the first place. All right, number two.
He's an ambassador for the team now.
They're not going to put a man in color with that much power over the Bulls. If that was the case, Michael Jordan never would have left the front office, and the Bulls was probably still would have won a ring or two by this time by now. The Bulls did the best thing. I'm not worried, and I'm not trying to talk about what the Bulls didn't do. Let's talk about the great players on the Chicago Bulls and what they did and the moves that they made to go back in the future and become Marty McFly. We're talking about D Rose going to the mighty Knicks.
Oh, here
We're talking about Joakim Noah that's about to find a time machine, go over to the mighty Knicks. Let me tell y'all something, all right, about what the good book says, all right? He who finds the garden finds the good thing, all right? Rose will blossom when roses blossom in the garden, all right?
Oh, here we
go. Joakim Noah will be right back at that defensive presence that he used to be 3-4 years ago with the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls have a thing with taking their talent and wasting it. Whenever the Bulls have some type of window or opportunity to win, they don't do what they need to get over the hump.
Chris.
When I was saying back in the day, the Bulls should have got Melo, and they should have gave.
I agree. I agree. Now, Chris.
They should have did that. The mighty Knicks, yeah.
Chris, stay there. Don't hang up. Don't hang up.
Saying a mighty Knicks.
Look, the crippled Knicks.
I knew when he said Latrell Sprewell, I knew who this guy was. He's a diehard New York Knicks fan who is from Chicago. You know, but I respect. I don't like the Knicks, but I do respect the fact that they're willing to take a chance on Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah. Now, I will say this: the Knicks better hire the best knee surgeon in the world, the best foot doctor in the world, especially if they sign Eric Gordon. But the Knicks the Knicks, with Porzingis, they will be very competitive in the East, but they still will fall short to the mighty Cleveland Cavaliers, and the baddest dude and the best player still is the best player. And I'm so glad he won the championship to prove it. The best player in the NBA is not Steph Curry, the 6'3", 190-pound guy that got flung around and disappeared the last few games of the NBA Finals. But
no, most of the games.
That 6'9", 250-pound guy who won it for his team. But let's go back to the New York Knicks conversation for a little bit. Seriously, if they can remain healthy and they manage the minutes and be healthy for the playoffs, the Knicks will be a very serious contender for that Eastern Conference Final championship. I still believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers are better. I believe that Dwayne Wade will eventually sign. If he does not re-sign with Miami, I believe that he will sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They will find a way to get him in Cleveland. That's what I believe. So I believe that Cleveland is still better. However, the Knicks and the Indiana Pacers, They have impressed me so far. And I know people are making fun of the Knicks and talking about they're crippled and all that. Yes, now it comes with the territory, but I do believe that the Knicks are very serious. Chris, before I let you go, give me your prediction of the New York Knicks season. What are the Knicks going to do?
I want to say something to you, Chris.
All right. This is all out with the Knicks. All right, when the Knicks won 17 games, following year, which was last season, they doubled their wins. Now, I feel the Knicks are going to win plus an extra 20 games. Derrick Rose, and will blossom in the garden. The same Derrick Rose that I must apologize. I know I said some hurtful things about that man when he was in Chicago. But for him finding the Knicks, it's kind of like just a new life. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to go with this. Next year, the Knicks is winning 59 games.
59 games?
You know what?
The number 2 seed, and they will upset LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers and make it to the finals.
Nope.
If they add another player, they won't.
Well,
as it stands,
Chris,
they might be able to.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you for your call. Please remain on Facebook Live. Thank you. We're gonna when we come back from this break, when we come back from this short break, we are going to address your prediction and finish up our conversation about the NBA and the free agent money. You are listening to Just Fans Talking Sports on IntellectualRadio.com.
Like never before. never before. Like 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 never before.
What's going on? Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Just Fans Talking Sports, where the voice of the fan matters, on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, EJ, with my co-host, Mikal and Bill, and we are into a very lively conversation about the NBA, where mediocre play gets you what? All-star pay. And we know we were talking about Joakim Noah signing with the New York Knicks, and we had a caller call in predicting that the New York Knicks will be the number 2 seed in the East, and that they're going to win 59 games and upset LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers and make it to the NBA Finals. Your dream, all right? Yes, you've been listening to some Atlantic Star. Am I dreaming? Yes, you are dreaming a lot. All right, so here we go. Let's get into this conversation. I want to go to our Just Fans Talking Sports group page. I want to get some live comments and some comments throughout the week on the conversation of the free agent money and where it's going. Luol Deng just signed with the Los Angeles Lakers, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
70.
Will, can you bring up some of those contracts? I want to read just some of the numbers of these
72
contracts.
million.
72 million.
72 million for Luol Deng.
Joakim, 72
Joe
million.
Joakim Noah 72. Who else?
We
Who else
already
signed?
talked about Dellavedova, 38.4 million.
Mike Conley Jr., who has never made an All-Star game, is making what?
153 million.
He makes more money than a first ballot, in my opinion, the best quarterback ever of all time. He makes more money than Tom Brady. Is the reason why the NFL players right now
Bantam.
are throwing.
Forgot about Bantam.
Oh yeah, Nicholas Batum, what he's making?
120 million.
Chandler Parkers, what he's making?
That's a great pickup, though. For
For the
Grizz.
I don't know what he's making, but
He's making like 90 something.
That's the one
That's
I think
worth
was
it.
91.
Yeah, 91 point.
that's worth it for him though.
No, and then we got Evan Turner. The Blazers paid him what, 70 million? I mean, it's just a lot of it's a lot. It's a lot. Just money getting thrown all over the place. Money getting thrown all over the place.
But it's like determined by the market, like in real estate.
Yeah.
Your house can be worth $200,000 today. If the market collapses and the housing market goes down, the same house is worth $50,000.
Yeah.
The person ain't paying you $200,000.
Right.
So you bad when it's low, but now that the market done went up,
I tell you what, if you have a son or planning on having a son soon, this is what you need to be doing right now. You need to be a point. Well, you know what? Just get in the league, because Matthew Dellavedova, who hardly played in the NBA Finals, made received a 5-year, $38 million contract, man. So if you have a son, train your son, tell him to stop playing football right now.
Antoine Moore got 34 too.
Eachwan Moore, you know what? Shouts out to Eachwan Moore. He worked hard for the money, but $34 million for Eachwan Moore. Look, mediocre play. You can be a player on the bench, an 8th guy. You can receive $38 million contract, a $38 million contract, man. Your sons need to be playing in the NBA. We have a caller. We're going to put our caller. Caller, introduce yourself.
Yeah. I was calling for Real Sports.
What's your name?
This is Latrell Sprewell number.
Latrell back.
Go ahead.
I know I just called in, and I know I gave you up a mighty Nick. One thing that we're not going to do, okay? We're not going to start talking about Derrick Rose is soft and he got legs to go fast. Look, at the end of last season, all right, when he played the horrible Chicago Bulls team, Derrick Rose showed flashes of greatness again.
We're not going to talk about Derrick Rose. I want to talk about the Knicks.
Yeah.
As for Carmelo Anthony, all right, I mean, his talent speaks for itself, okay? I have nothing to say about him. The man is great. And actually still one of the top 5 scorers in the league, all right?
I agree.
Hurting or not hurting, win, lose, or draw. Sometimes the man get quadruple teams. I watched the game where all 5 people were sticking Melo and he still scored.
I agree.
At the end
but
of the
he
day,
is not
Chris,
going to win a championship in New York. He is not.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm not going to predict whether he'll win or not.
He won't.
But I do want to say this.
He won't be
Derrick
LeBron.
Rose. I have nothing. I'm one of the people who believes that Derrick Rose is going to have a good year because I believe he paced
so
himself
too.
for the year. I think he didn't go as hard as he could have went in Chicago the last year. So I know he didn't because he's concerned about his long-term health, not for pay, but just so he can stay in the NBA. Because if he has one more injury, he might be out of the league. Number 2. I've always said Carmelo Anthony is great. He's just never been surrounded with great players. But number 3, I'm tired of Knicks fans calling the New York Knicks the mecca of basketball. You guys haven't won crap in New York.
It's the mecca of basketball.
The only reason why it's the mecca of basketball is because it's in New York. But they suck. They haven't won anything.
And by the way, it's more talent. It's more talent from Chicago and the NBA right now.
New York Knicks. How many championships they won? One because
5 less.
1 second.
It's because
5 less than the Bulls.
because it's the mystique of New York. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's not great tradition in New York, but it ain't great winning tradition. Okay, it's New York. It's Rucker Park. Okay, I cheer for the Knicks to win just because D Rose played for him and he's from Chicago. But besides that, I believe that Noah and I believe that Rose will do well in New York uniforms, and I think it was good to pair those two together because now Rose will try to help Noah win in his hometown.
Well, let me say this,
which I think makes sense. But stop it with this mecca of basketball.
Mikhail and Chris, can I say this now? I'm gonna be objective, Chris. This is no hating on the New York Knicks whatsoever, but I will say this though. It does. The Miami Heat showed you in 2010.
Excuse me.
Hold on, wait a minute.
They're not the New York Yankees. They're the New York Knicks.
Let me make this point. They have to still learn how to play together. Derrick Rose, he was trying to be a facilitator, but Derrick Rose is not the same Derrick Rose when he's out there facilitating the basketball like a true point guard. He is not a true pure point guard. In high school, he once was, but when he came to the NBA, he's more effective when he's attacking the rim. Carmelo still has to pass the ball. Remember that. And Kristaps Porzingis needs to have the ball.
All right. All I have to say is this. Derrick Rose is back to form because he's playing where the mecca of basketball is at. And that is
Stop this mecca of basketball.
All right?
Wow.
The mighty Knicks.
He gonna add to their winning tradition.
Chris.
The
crippled Knicks.
are now a mighty team.
Chris.
And you know what, Chris? If the New York Knicks lose in the Eastern Conference Finals this year, they'll be doing what they've been doing since y'all been calling them all.
Thank you, Chris. Continue to listen to us. Call us in with our next show. Continue to comment on us. Continue to follow us on Just Fan Talk with Sports Facebook and make comments about your mighty
It's
Knicks.
just like being a Cubs fan.
Come on.
It's all that tradition with no winning. And I'm a Cubs fan. Get that mess out.
Listen, like Kelvin Easter on Facebook Live just made a great point. He said the Knicks have not won a championship since 1973, man.
Right.
It's been 33 years. Are we talking about the mighty Knicks? Now we can talk about the mighty Los Angeles Lakers and how their big moves are Luol Deng and Timofey Mozgov. No one signed in there. They re-signed Jordan Clarkson. But it shows you right now that the NBA is not about going to a big market. You don't have to be in a big market to win. You have guys in Memphis receiving a $153 million contract, man. Portland is spending money to beef up their team. The Indiana Pacers, shout out to Zach Sheets, by the way, who's a huge, he follows us on our Facebook group page. He's a huge fan of the Pacers. The Pacers are doing a great job. I love the pickup of Al Jefferson. I love the pickup of Nick Young. Okay, but I believe they got Swaggy. No, they got Thaddeus Young. They have Thaddeus Young. I love Thaddeus Young. I love the Al Jefferson pickup. They have the Pacers have put together Jeff T. The trade for Jeff T. They have put together a nice team. So the East will be more competitive, but it's showing you that. And by the way, I believe that Kevin Durant is going to stay in Oklahoma because he can make what $250 million, Earl, over the next 5 years. $250 $50 million.
53.
50 over the next 5 years. And by the way, they're going to try to find a way to get Al Horford there. If they get Al Horford there, they are going to the NBA Finals. They got Victor Oladipo. Also, they got
the shooter.
The shooter. I forgot. Forgive me.
The European.
Yeah, forgive me. The name is I can't think of the name right now. But they got Sabonis kid. From the draft day, the draft day trade. So they have a very deep team, a very talented team. You do not have to be in a big market. The cap has made it possible to where you don't have to play in the AKA the quote unquote the Mecca of basketball in New York. You don't have to play in LA.
Mecca.
Right, it's not the Mecca.
The Mecca is too significant and holy to people for them to be calling New York.
I'm sorry, 43 years. I'm serious. It's been 43 years. They said they won a championship in New York in 1973. 43 years. You don't deserve to be the Mecca of anything.
And guess what?
Just win.
If they get to the NBA Finals this year, which they won't, there is no way they're going to win.
I agree, Gustavo. That Sabonis. He said Sabonis is going to be a good rebounder. Yes, he is. The Thunder have they put together a very good team. If they get Al Horford there, I'm making my prediction right now. You are not. If Al Horford signs there, Westbrook is not going nowhere next year. Of course, Durant will be back. The Golden State Warriors would not see the NBA Finals for the next 2 years because it will be occupied by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I love the San Antonio Spurs, but hey, let's read some of our comments right now on Just Fans Talking Sports. Just Fans Talking Sports group page. Follow us on Just Fans Talking Sports, the group page on Facebook. We have some very, very huge, big things coming right around the corner. We had a lot of development that was going on, but we got caught in a little snag. But hey, we're working hard. So, in the next few months, we have a big announcement we'll be making, and we have a larger platform to expand on the things that we're doing right now, IntellectualRadio.com, and also Facebook. But let's get back to this conversation. I have another great comment. All this money is going to make talent available for big and small markets. Thank you. So we don't have to rely. So New York, 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, it was a huge advantage to have a market in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. You can maybe throw in Philadelphia, maybe. It was a huge, Boston. But now it doesn't. Listen, if the Sacramento Kings can say, well, you can win a championship there and be the 7th man on the bench, or you can come here with a rebounding project right here. A rebuilding project and make $148 million. We're only going to pay you $80 million. Guess what's going to happen? That person's going to go and make that $148 million without having the pressure to be the man. You're going to have Toronto is going to be competitive. So I definitely agree with that comment that the NBA cap has made it possible for players, no matter what market, to get money anywhere. It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. So,
and the NBA probably has.
We got some of our Just Fans comments ready.
The most exciting offseason when these players become available. I love watching it. And Darian Snowdy said, "I am that guy. I have burned my jersey. Go Knicks."
Come on, Darian. Come on, you just go. Now, I will say this though. I am a Chicago Bulls fan.
It's pointless to cheer for the Bulls
this year. But I'm gonna stay. But I remain. But I remain a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm gonna remain a Chicago Bulls fan. I do not like the direction of the Bulls right now. I believe the Chicago Bulls go ahead and build it, tear it down, and build it back up because the way this money being spent, guess what? You can bring in 2 or 3 players. So go ahead and just, but I am not going to just jump off the bandwagon of the Bulls. I am a Bulls fan, but I do respect Derrick Rose. I do respect Noah. Read the comment. We got 5 more minutes for our show. I'm gonna get some of these comments in.
Christopher D goes, "This show is poison the Facebook airwaves. Knicks haters. You two passed the Easter. No one needed you to pull the facts up about my mighty Knicks.
Watch this. I like what Tim said. Tim said this. The Knicks will be another Clippers. All names and expectations, but disappointment at best. That You know what, Tim? You have won the comment of the day. And it's not just because he's my brother, by the way. But that was a very great comment.
Who got one?
No, Tim made that comment. That's a great comment. I'm gonna read another comment.
Talk about that on the way up here.
Here's a comment right here. Durant, Westbrook, Horford, Oladipo, and Adams. That's a nasty starting five. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is a nasty starting five.
Is it nasty to Indiana?
Yes, it is. Oh, yes.
Well, that's because,
of course.
That's because of Westbrook.
Of course.
Jeff T.
But I will say this though.
Jeff T. Paul George, Al Jefferson.
It's better. Come on, you got.
No, it is better because you got Russell Westbrook and Durant. They're transcendent players. I mean,
the Indiana team would beat the New York Knicks in the 7-game series in the playoffs. If all healthy, it would beat them.
And Indiana will get the second seed before the other team does.
Let me say this. Let me say this too.
Here you go. Did you read this one? Jeremy Patton it says Carmelo is a black hole. Derrick Rose soft as baby skin. Joakim a tall, soft serve dude too.
That's funny. And look. To end the show out, we got 3 more minutes to end the show out. Watch this, man. I have to say this. All right. This is gonna New York. Just the fact that New York is being talked about again, it is good for basketball, though. It's good for basketball that the Boston Celtics have all these young players and all these. Even though they make a trade, they wasn't able to get Jimmy Butler over to the Boston Celtics. But it is good when New York and Boston are relevant. Now the Lakers is going to be a few years. I'm sorry, German Man Johnson, but it's going to be a few years for your Lakers to be relevant again. But it is fun. It's good for the NBA when the Knicks are being talked about, when the Boston Celtics are being talked about. But at the end of the day, it does not matter. LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to come out the East again. It just is. It just is. It just is. Yeah. Take this point, and it's gonna be the next comment. We're gonna continue this conversation on our next show. But also, our next show we're gonna be talking about the Chicago Cubs and the White Sox and how the MLB, Major League Baseball, and as well as boxing. Because boxing had a great fight last week. Sean Porter.
I knew nothing about it.
Oh, here you go.
I knew nothing about it.
Well, you know what, Will, to your point, Sean Porter and Keith Thurman fight was the highest rated boxing. It had 3.1 million views. The highest rating boxing event all year so far, and it was not on pay-per-view. Thurman came out and said he wants to continue to fight live network television. CBS was CBS' first fight in a very long time. Boxing and Major League Baseball need to do a better job of promoting their young stars, promoting their best players, because right now boxing is it's trending. It's a hot topic right now. Manny Pacquiao's coming back to fight. Triple G, he has a big fight coming up. So Major League Baseball and boxing needs to do a better job of promoting their talent. And are the Cubs panic? It is a time for the Cubs to panic. Do we trade Schwarber to get more talent, pitching talent? Yeah. These are conversations that we're going to have throughout the week on Just Fans Talking Sports group page, but also at our next show. Thank you all for following us live on Facebook Live. Be looking out for the show. We're going to be doing reruns of the show on Facebook. Thank you all for following us. You've been tuned into Just Fans Talking Sports, where the voice of the fan matters, on IntellectualRadio.com, also an iHeartRadio station. Till next time, peace. There's no such thing as the mighty Knicks.
Like never before.